كلامي أتى يروي كل القلوب.
Welcome back, guys. If you are just joining us, this is INX Prime Live. Remember, we are on your screens every single Monday to Sunday between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. during the blessed month of Ramadan. Now, as we approach the upcoming elections, it's crucial to hear from voices representing various different political parties out there. Now, each offering their own vision and solutions for a betterment of our nation and a betterment of South Africa in that sense. So today we are honored to be joined by two distinguished representatives of the new Sizwe Nation Party, who is actually Sheikh Saeed as well as Rashid Gata. Now, the Sizwe Nation Party stands as a beacon of hope as well as change, advocating for progress, unity, and the empowerment of all citizens. Now, let's delve into that party's platforms, understand their ideologies, as well as the transformational changes they aim to bring to the country. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on INX.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan for the opportunity.
Shukran.
And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to all our viewers at home.
No, it's a pleasure having you guys. I want to get straight into this conversation because I know everyone's getting so excited for the elections. We know that there's all these different political parties out there. Some of them have actually been removed off the ballot, but a lot of them are still going to be obviously part of in May 29, 2024, which is our IEC elections. But I just want to start off first with you, Sheikh Said. I mean, just looking at it being a new political party, a party that people have to get used to and understand, the concepts of it. I just wanted to understand in terms of your guys' mission, your principles, your core principles when it comes to the party, when you're looking at the vision of your party in particular.
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. First of all, what I will say is that we thank God Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala who has made it possible for us, the Sun Party, to be part of these elections, which are regarded as the same like the 1994 elections as a result of the consultations and everything. But regarding the Sun Party itself, it was registered 8 to 9 years ago, 2015. It was registered at that time, but I was introduced to the party 2022. As previously, I was a deputy mayor in Harding, but I resigned. Then I was introduced to the party because I was seeking also for a home which has got accountability, transparency, and also godliness within the party itself. Because most of the political parties, it's all about about power, running for positions and anything else. But God Almighty Subhanahu wa Taala has been removed from the equation. So we're just looking for such a party where there will be accountability and all that. And currently, the party is also, I'm an alim of Deen. It is the only party currently within all these 56 parties that are contesting, which is led by an alim of Deen. So we are also trying our aim is to bring godliness in the political space of our country, inshallah.
I mean, that's very, very important. Just touching on, the elections that is coming up, we know that there is a lot of political parties out there and everyone has their own, ideologies. Some people believe in certain aspects and that's what actually governs their political party. We can talk about things like land expropriation without compensation or with compensation. It's a very important topic in South Africa right now. But I just want to touch on this political party, understanding your guys' ideologies and your policies. Maybe you can, share with us some of the most important or fundamental policies that make you different to all your competing parties out there.
I can say the first we have in our manifesto, which I can also maybe term it as our 10 commandments, like how Nabi Musa alayhi salam was given 10 commandments in the mountain. So we have this manifesto which has got 10 commandments or 10 items. First in the items is that we aspire to bring God-conscious leaders into the political space of our country. That is our mission, because you cannot attain all the other, your healthcare and everything, and the inequality, eradication of poverty and all the other things. But if you don't have ethical, God-conscious leaders who have this accountability of a higher power than just the powers that are here on earth. So as a result of that, these policies have been crafted. We also believe that since there's influx of people who are coming in the country, is that we should try and manage the influx of people who are coming in the country. People who came without any papers, they should be deported. But people who are coming here with skills, they should be welcomed. And there's also the issue of healthcare. There's the issue of, like, I'm coming from Harding. Harding, we're still using the pit toilet system in Harding. And most in our community in Mazakele, the toilets are full. The government does not even come make plans to clean up those toilets and all that. So we want to try and make sure that we advocate for social justice and be a party that will be in touch with the citizens, especially the poor of the poorest in the country.
I think that's so important. And, just touching on what you just mentioned, Sheikh said, Rashid, if we're going to look at South Africa in general, right, we're speaking about pit toilets. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with the government mismanaging funds and not using, money correctly. So corruption's a big problem in South Africa. I mean, South African people love the concept of hearing about different manifestos, understanding policies. But at the end of the day, for them, it's about how can you overcome challenges that they face on a daily basis. So, as a political party, how are you guys planning on addressing challenges like, for example, unemployment, things like load shedding, or even corruption in that sense?
Thanks, Zarif, and good evening to the viewers. I think the foremost part of where we have to start is we have to generate economic growth now. We've been in the slumber for a very long time, and we've got to start initiating policies that will start creating wealth in this country so that we can use it to to fix the toilets, to put into education, into healthcare. So my focus has been from a business environment. I've come to the conclusion that politics is too serious a matter to be just left to politicians. And I'm glad to say that this year, when we've looked at all the parties that have come in, we've got a very diversified range of people with different interests. It's not just politicians coming in. And I think with that, we're going to get a very exciting range of leaders coming in that will be able to address specific problems. I mean, even in our own party, we kind of complement each other because Sheikh comes from a different rural area. I'm coming from the cities. So in that way, we're able to understand each other's problems because it's an everyday lived reality. I'm coming from the business where I had to compete with big business. And I learned that we need to start manufacturing in this country, like we've spoken before. We've got abundance of mineral wealth in this country, and only a few politically connected individuals are benefiting at the expense of the masses. So we need to start, putting in the policies of export incentives. We are very well geographically centered in the world, where we have agreements like the AGOA agreement to America. We can start creating value in our society, and then we can dispense it into different areas.
Oh, that's very, very true. And I mean, just touching on something that I feel a lot of political parties have completely forgotten about, and it's to their own detriment in that sense, is we look at the number of voters that are going to be voting in this election. A majority of new voters are people under the age of 35. So we have a lot of young people that are going to be voting in this elections. And I mean, that can be due to many reasons, with the fact that social media or many young political parties have come up, people that have young leaders. There's a lot of reasons why. But a lot of them have not addressed the issue of youth leadership and allowing young people to lead in their political parties, but away from that, also looking after young people in the country. So allowing them to grow, allowing them to develop. How do you guys plan as the Sun Party, and I'm going to ask you, Rashid, how do you plan on developing young people in the country? We know we have a lot of young people in South Africa that are unemployed. How are you planning on developing young people and growing young people? And also, are you planning on giving young people leadership roles within your political party?
I'm a very strong advocate of youth. If you take the statistics from the age of 18 to 39 years old, youth comprise 20 million eligible voters, and the total voter base is 40 million. So they comprise 50 million. If all the youth stood up and voted, they could be the new power leading this country. I would firstly advocate for a definite guarantee youth employment through a policy of where you can put in a company must employ 50% of youth. So I would start there so that we can curb that problem. Youth can only gain experience from on-the-job training. So they might get the qualifications, but they don't have the job experience. So the government has introduced incentives for employing youth, but I think we need to make it a policy that companies must employ 50% of youth.
I mean, that's a very, very powerful policy if it does come into play. Look, I think the conversation so far is that a lot of people are enjoying it on social media. We are getting a lot of comments and a lot of questions coming in. So people are really enjoying this conversation and they loving the policies that you guys are sharing. I just want to do in closing with you, Sheikh Said, before we do let you guys go. Transparency and accountability is so important when it comes to looking at our leaders in South Africa, but also making sure that we protect our citizens in the country. Let's say hypothetically you guys do get into government and you get a good prominent role in government in terms of being in parliament, for example, or holding the government accountable. How do you plan on actually doing that when, for example, let's say the ANC comes into play and they have majority power rule? How do you plan on holding them accountable in this election?
From my little bit experience, as I've said, that previously I was a deputy mayor at the municipality called Umuzwabantu Municipality in Harding, KZN. One of the things that actually shocked me when I came inside the municipality was that, like your 5 million rand supposed to be electrifying homes will be gone. You don't know where it's gone. 11 million rand gone. Within like 3 to 4 months, 40 million rand gone, and I was very, very vocal about it, very vocal, until I came to a point where, because of a lot of fighting, trying to fight corruption inside, and making sure that the ruling party must be accountable because they are the one who are controlling the budget and everything. So it even led to my resignation because the party that I was with at the time was supporting all the wrong things happening in the municipality. So then it was a clash of principles. I decided, it's better I leave being a deputy mayor. Let me just leave and look for another party where there will be transparency, accountability, and no corruption, zero tolerance to corruption. That's how I found myself in the Sun Party, and I was also requested to lead the party in the conference. So with that, those values of accountability, transparency, this is what we'll bring into the government, inshallah. So we make sure that the taxpayers, that the tax that is collected, it must be used accordingly and appropriately, and we will expose whatever corruption that happens in government. This is what the Sun Party is coming with. If people are voting for the Sun Party, we will make sure that there's accountability and transparency in government.
Perfect. Sheikh Said and Rashid, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Perfect, guys. That is Sheikh Said as well as Rashid Gutta just sharing with us, some information, some of their manifesto as well as policies from the Sizwe Ume Nation Party, also known as the Sun Party, as we are moving closer to May the 29th, 2024, which we do know is the IEC national elections. Please go out and make sure that you do vote and vote in your numbers when it comes to the 29th of May 2024. But on that note, guys, we are going to take a quick ad break. We'll come right back.